And also Shardana Shinatra is, I want to say, hi, I'm Jody Keener, and I am a movement artist, a choreographer, a director, a dancer, performance art human, and I make installations to do my work in. And I'm just gonna do that again.
Okay.
Hello, I am Jody Keener, and I'm a performance artist, choreographer, dance maker. Let's do that again. Hi. I swear it won't go like this the whole time. I'm gonna get in the flow. Hello, I'm Jody Keener, and I am primarily a dance artist. There's a tree. Hi, I'm Jody Keener. I'm a Seattle-based dance artist, installation maker, performance artist. I work in persona, and yeah. I think, should I stop for the train? What do you think? Hello, my name is Jody Keener, and I'm a queer Seattle-based dance artist, installation maker, performance artist, choreographer, director, and I mainly work in persona, a character I call Shardana Shinatra. And I've been working as Shardana for about 10 years and been really developing and expanding upon persona work along with the installation work of creating a space to go along with the work that I'm doing. So I want to talk to you about Ditch. That was the piece at the Momentary for State of the Art, and even though it was only half the piece, the installation was up, but the live performance, which is 50% of it, didn't get to happen because of the pandemic. I do want to talk about that, but I also, as you'll see in this video presentation, that I just want to give you a context of my work. And so these other things that are happening in this space are a piece worth my salt with the black and white elaborate walls and floor, this sort of nebulous, all-encompassing. I wanted it to be like I was floating in space bubble of time. That piece is very much about existential crisis. And then Self-Portrait, which was a precursor piece that I did at the Frye Art Museum. That was a precursor to Clock That Mug or Dusted, which was an evening length piece that I created a live painting. So using my body, using objects in the space to create an actual physical piece of art. That piece went on tour, and I think I did that show almost 20 times, if not more. We saved all the material, all the canvas, everything, and that became the installation for Clock That Construct at the Henry Art Gallery. I'm not really a peacemaker that's like, this is about the ocean, this one's about what, my pieces aren't, it's sort of just like, I think I'm making one long, big life's work, probably. That all of them are just feeding into the next one and based on what I learn as I go along the way. So, Clock That Construct had that space built and reimagined out of all that fabric, and even the dolls in Clock That Mug, there's a like 12-foot doll named Jean that is a replica of a doll my mom made me when I was a kid, and we blew her up and made her 12 feet. Saved all those, and those came into Clock That Construct in the space. And then that Clock That Construct feeds into Kissing Like Babies. And Clock That Construct and Kissing Like Babies kind of went into infantilization of women, and really that my reaction to societal pressure to stay young and be not age in any way. And so I get a little, my reaction to that is more in the sense of, you want me to be young, then I'll just be a fucking baby. So that's where I'll go with it, to the extremes. So that became Kissing Like Babies, and the dolls appeared in Kissing Like Babies. The Jean dolls came through, and then I had these dancers in that piece that were another extension of Jean dolls. So it's like, we have the Jean dolls, let's make human dolls, and then I Then Kissing Like Babies went into Ditch, I think. Yeah, that was the next evolution. And I think with that, yeah, so we'll get to that. Or I'm gonna, yeah, no, not sure how to end that. Okay, now I need to pause and look. Abortion, abortion, abortion. Abortion, abortion. Folks, it to be about. My process as an art maker is very organic, and I pull from a lot of daily interactions, and I think my work comes together more like a collage than a linear story or timeline. So a lot of times when people ask me what my work is about, it feels very hard for me because I'm like, well, it's about 100 things that have happened to me over the last year, and that I can have sort of a slow process, even if the actual making of the show happens in a quicker timeline. The pre-work research for myself on my own, or thought process to get me to the point to like activate, tends to be a longer process for me, and that's because I know that there's things that stick and that I don't exactly know how they're gonna come together, and most of the time they do somehow. All of a sudden everything works out, and I think again, that's part of life, that everything's interconnected, and it's amazing to me that that can work out almost every time, even if I'm pulling from references that seem like really far away from each other. So with Ditch, I want to just give you a little insight to the process, and that process started with an idea of, can I build at the Frye Art Museum a utopia? So this idea of what we all need right now, and this was in, 2017, 18, where I thought like, oh, things are really bad. Like, we need to build a utopia, and it's amazing to me that now we're in 2020, and I think the need is still there. And so with that, I did a bunch of research into like lesbian separatist communities. There was a big one that was a Seattle-born lesbian separatist called the Van Dykes, and they are literally a group of dykes that traveled in a van and settled in a couple different places here on the West Coast. Generally, in researching about utopias in separatist colonies, I was like, it's impossible. You can't, because everybody needs something different. And so that is a failed task. And so part of my interest is like, okay, let's make a failed task, but then I was like, I don't think that's it. So a lot of the process sort of started in that realm, and then turned into like, okay, so if you can't please everybody in one spot because everybody has different needs, then we need to help, or I was using this word, please people individually. So like, how can you individually help everybody and their different needs? And that turned into Sherdana as a clown, because that's like the most traditional stereotypical vision of making people happy, is a clown. There's an obsession for me with pop culture and TV, movies, all that stuff. So there's these things burned in my brain, and I think even with amazing parents, you cannot get away from media's messages about who I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be as a woman, who I'm supposed to be as a queer person even. I mean, oh, it's so much stuff it's so much stuff. So there's always references in my work to television, and Ditch has a lot of that, from like DoorDash commercials to 90210 to the Golden Girls, Twin Peaks.
107.
Could I speak to you for a moment,
And a big one was
please?
Planet Terror. This is Jean. Jean doll. There is still these dolls that I just cannot get away from. So we've had this evolution of this Jean doll that my mom made me that I love. And I think what that actually means is not about the doll, but for me is this matriarchal, the doll representing this matriarchalness that I am inspired by and excited by. And my mom is a great mother and has been an awesome human in my life. So there's that part of it. And so in Ditch, I decided to blow this figure up. And so the Seattle version of Ditch had this giant, now we're calling her Mom Donna, this giant matriarchal figure who's basically like a ruin and has been there, done that. And I think she's there just overlooking and seeing all of the same mistakes happening again and again. And also trying to be there as a support, but she's falling apart. Her head is literally off of her body. The fourth layer to all this is also this idea of duration. So I love duration. I think duration is super important, and I think it brings people into new states, really, audience and performers.
Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey, you stay over. Hey, come here. Hey, you. Hey, get. Hey, girl. Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey, you stay over. Hey, come here. Hey, you. Get. Hey, girl. Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey, you stay over. Hey, come here. Hey, you. Get. Hey, girl. Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey, you stay away. Come here. Hey, you. Get. Hey, girl. Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey, you stay away. Come here. Hey, you. Get. Hey, girl. Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey, you stay away. Come here. Hey, you. Get. Hey, girl. Hey, careful, cat. Hey, you just coming up at me. Hey,
conversation and education around gender and gender politics is moving like a freight train. Like there is so much amazing, new, awesome folks out there who are researching, talking, living in their queer bodies in different ways, saying it's okay, that I'm just devouring all this information and like so excited, because like that's the world I want to live in, is that gender, to the point where like I'm consuming so much that I'm like, I don't even know what's even feminist, like what's even, like now those definitions are just like, woo, we're just, you know, there's something that gets slippery in a really beautiful way. And then how does that connect to how I feel in my body, or how I relate to other people? It's an amazing depth of connection, communication, education, forward moving.
How are you?
You're well.
It's fine.
I really love interacting with audiences. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love that intimacy. I feel like people come to see my show a lot of times, and a lot go away with like, we know each other. Like now Sheridanna is their friend, we've had an intimate time, and they feel connected to me in this way, and I love that, and that feels like a big goal, and I think that's part of what I'm interested in with my art is, to bring joy to people.
I'm just playing.
You know, Sheridanna's sort of exists in this very childlike arena of innocence and letting go of social standards or social code. How can we break the rules? Much like how kids are like, woo, like they don't know what's should or shouldn't be happening socially. And I love that, and I think it brings that out of other people, and I think people are excited to be like, oh, I know what she's feeling right now because I felt that way, and I can't express that, and I get to express that on stage. Losing this show at the Momentary, losing the performance part of this show, was really sad to me for the pandemic, and it opens up a whole other aspect that I know lots of artists are feeling, or every artist is feeling, about how we will have audiences and how specifically live performance is going to move forward. Space is so important to everybody. Like the space you live in, the space you work in, your emotional space, your physical space. Like space is such a huge thing, and it's a huge thing to my work. I mean, my whole work is based on creating spaces for people to be in or to experience. And so I'm thinking a lot about that. I'm thinking a lot about space and thinking a lot about how I can continue with what I do, and what I feel like are some of the most important things about what I do in this time where you can't get close to people.
Hey, you hear that? You don't believe in miracles? That's Swan Lake. That's perfect. That's perfect. Hey, here, Carol, that's Swan Lake. You remember the dying swan? Come on.
Working with gender and identity has always been a part of my work as a queer body moving in space. And also, gender is not the most important part of my work. Sheridanna came out of what I needed to be able to explore and process about life. Drag is the aesthetic, dance is the modality, but I'm processing in non-linear storytelling. I'm working with emotional landscapes and states of being. Shardana is not about drag. She's a creature that I can explore and question the world and humanity through. The true core of my work is, and has always been, about existential dread and the surreal, strange, tragic, and hilarious sort of tightrope wire we tiptoe through to process existential crisis. Fear of death, and fear of being alive, fear of myself, fear of the future, fear of humanity, and importantly, the tension, that beautiful tension between fear and love, and how those things come together. The durational loop and ditch of I'm a woman, of the lay down at 5, wake up at 6, and start all over again, is about the experience of womanhood, but on a much deeper, broader level, it's more about the fear of getting stuck, fear of meaningless life, of losing one's sense of purpose and identity. And these existential themes in my work, I really believe, are what people connect to more than the aesthetics. I think the aesthetics heighten it, but the work is really about human connection and that experience that we all share, that we have a life, we're born, and then we die. And that is the true connection and how we're going to experience this life together. There is real beauty in the tragic sense of human existence. It's both ends of the spectrum. It's so funny and it's so sad. And everybody feels those things and has those experiences.